Hi, my name is Rudy Geldenhuys and I am the author of the LifterLMS Bulk Registration add-on. Now you might ask why the need for this add-on, and it is quite simple. Normal online learning management systems only cater for just that online learning, whereas I've expanded LifterLMS to also cater for classroom or on-site training. You might also have instances where students or prospective students do not have email addresses, and this plugin makes generous provision for the fact that you can register students who do not have email addresses. Other scenarios might also be that you enroll 20, 30, 50, 150 students simultaneously, and this plugin just simply makes that scenario much easier and saves a huge amount of time. The LifterLMS Bulk Registration add-on has 4 distinctive sections, and if we look at one of them, you'll see the others open up beneath them. So it's plugin settings, manual entry, import CSV data, and the import email list. In this video, we're going to specifically focus on setting the plugin settings. Before we talk about the plugin settings itself, let me just say that I have customized LifterLMS to a large extent. For instance, I have created extra fields which output during registration and checkout of a student, and then writes itself everywhere to the relevant data, including the metadata and the user profile of the student. I also used local translate to translate a lot of the terms and terminology used natively by LifterLMS to make provision for international English. For instance, we do not talk about quizzes, we talk about tests and so forth. Additionally, I've created 9 extra merge fields for the LifterLMS certificates, and I've changed the whole configuration and layout of certificates from the standard LifterLMS landscape size to a larger A4 portrait size. I've also made changes to the LifterLMS notification system. And then additionally, and you'll see it here in the video, I've also created an extra role apart from the normal roles WordPress has and the roles that LifterLMS creates. And then in this video you'll see I have used the LifterLMS Launchpad theme, but I've also tested this add-on using the Astra theme, Astra Pro, Generate Press and Ocean WP. The reason why I'm mentioning all these customizations is to indicate to you that the beauty of this add-on is that it plays very well with advanced customizations that you do for LifterLMS. Right, let's move over to the settings page and get stuck in. This page is largely self-explanatory, and I've divided it into the headings which we will discuss. Firstly, if we talk about validation and notifications, you'll see that you can tell the system to send a new user registration notification email to each student when they are created. Secondly, and you can switch that on and off. Secondly, you can choose, and I suggest you keep that on, is whether you want these new registrations to be sent to yourself via email. The third one, we've made provision that you can validate user email addresses by simply putting a tick there. The fourth one, you can also put a tick to sanitize user logins. In other words, when a username is created, to only allow certain characters or to limit those characters. And the last one, which you must use very carefully, and I don't recommend it if the person indeed has an email address, is to put the tick into force fill empty user email addresses. Second heading, new user defaults and overrides. I have set my plugin to make the default user role for students that I register via this add-on as the student role, but you can go and select it any which way you want. Select any type of role that your WordPress platform allows, and you'll see I've even created an extra role called administrator owner, but let's leave it at student for now. The next item, when not provided, set new user display name preference as, and that just makes it easier. If you set a parameter here, then you don't have to use that in your registration form. It'll use the user login particulars also as the display name of your user. The third item is the CSV column ordering. Column ordering is associated when we import users by means of importing a spreadsheet of users, and that makes it very easy to import users, and you've got various options here. When I'm talking about a spreadsheet, I'm typically talking about something like Excel, and to import users using a spreadsheet, I'm going to draw an example of a spreadsheet over so that you can see. And here I've got a typical Excel spreadsheet, and you'll see the first line has some headings: user underscore login, user underscore email, and so forth. And those are the headings of your columns or your column names. You'll also see that I've created extra columns here for a column called LLMS underscore identity underscore number, and a column called LLMS underscore ethnicity. Those are extra fields that I've created for LifterLMS. The identity number one we use in South Africa. Every person has a unique identity number, and that makes the certificate which issues at the end so much more personal. Unfortunately, also in South Africa, we use a system of ethnicity or race, or let me rephrase, some of the governing bodies in South Africa still require that we associate a race or an ethnicity label to each student doing a course when we have to report back regarding those students when it's accredited courses. So let's just move the Excel spreadsheet out of the way for the moment to concentrate on the settings of the page itself. CSV column ordering has 4 possibilities here that you can specify. I like to use the bottom option of the 4, which says use the first line of the CSV, and you'll remember when we showed the Excel spreadsheet, I was talking about the first line or the headings of each column. So I've specified my first line as use the first line of the CSV data. The other options, the dynamic sorting on import as well as the manual entry on import, basically comes into motion at the second step in the CSV data import. More on that in the video about CSV importing. And then the remaining preference is to use predefined below, and what you do is in this little line below you simply enter the columns which you want to specify upon registration. For instance, we can use one called user underscore login, which is the username. Second one, user underscore email, which is the person's email address. Third one we can use as user underscore pass, which is the user password. Those are the 3 important components when you register anybody, are those 3 fields. One can add things like first name, last name, and then you can also add your additional or custom fields which you have created, as I have done, but you only fill in this line here if your selection was predefined below. When you specify something like use first line of CSV, no need to complete this line. For the CSV column ordering, there is also a quick view reference guide which you can open up, and you'll see it gives you more detail on these column names and how you should use it. So let's close it again. The next main entry is manual entry user metadata, and that is when you import a lot of users by means of manual entry, but you still import them simultaneously. Here you can use some of the additional tick blocks to, for instance, add the display name or a nickname or a biographic description of a user, as and how you wish. I would suggest, however, that you limit your fields to only the required fields that you are really going to use, and to add your additional custom fields which you have created for users in the line below. You'll see I have added LLMS_phone, which is the telephone number which is typically found in LifterLMS. The comma in between this one and the next one. Second one I've added is LLMS_identity_number, which is the identity number of a student in South Africa, that unique number that we use, comma, and without spaces the next one, LLMS_ethnicity, which in our case refers to the ethnicity or race of the student. Next main heading is how to customize the new user notification email. Like we discussed right in the beginning, you can put a tick so that the new user receives an email upon their registration by means of this plugin, and the bottom section simply describes how this email should look. I have typically used very simple HTML code to insert certain things here, and you'll see by default some of your fields here have been populated, but if you know a bit more about HTML, you can spruce up the email that goes to the student quite a bit. And let me just show you what this simple little bit here looks like when this user receives his email. And here it is. It says to the user, you have been registered as a user on your site title will come in there, and you may now log into the site at the specific URL. Your username is Sarah White and your password is whatever, and it completes the email. So that takes care of the settings page. And once you've set your settings, you can just go and click on Save Settings to save your settings which you have set on the settings page. Or if your settings aren't correct, you can always go and reset your settings to the default settings. Right at the bottom, below the Save Settings page, or the Save Settings button, is more information about the LifterLMS Bulk Registration settings. And by the time you see this video, the video will appear here for you to repeat if and however you want to view it, whereafter this information about the settings will appear with more detail regarding everything that we've discussed. Thank you for watching this video. It has been a pleasure doing it, and watch out for the other videos as well on the other 3 pages, which would be the manual entry page, the import CSV data, and the import email list.